Hi, my name is Terry Henderson, and I'm the founder of My Brainstorm Center, the most comprehensive content library built specifically for the education market. Thanks for taking the time to learn more about us. Today I'd like to share with you how My Brainstorm Center was founded and why we are so passionate about what we do, as our focus is centered around helping students achieve their educational goals. I would like to preface this presentation by saying that all the materials used in it were taken from the My Brainstorm Center library, so you can see how powerful high-quality images can visually impact a simple presentation, even for someone who isn't a designer. For those who are designers, the sky is the limit as to how you can utilize this resource. The concept for My Brainstorm Center started while I was teaching marketing at a private for-profit institution that charged a premium for the degree their students earned. At this time, I also had a web design firm that I ran on the side and was primarily working with a designer that I had met who was based in Argentina. He was an incredibly gifted designer, and from a business perspective, he cost a lot less than many designers I had worked with at the time. As a young entrepreneur, I viewed this as a win-win. We produced some really innovative designs, and our clients were very happy with the end products. It was my style as a marketing instructor to personalize the material to help students understand it from a storytelling perspective. I would introduce concepts from great marketing minds like Philip Kotler, and then increase their understanding by assimilating these concepts to things I had experienced in the market. Looking back, I'm a bit embarrassed to say the least as to how naive I was at the time. We received a call from an artist who said the images we had used on a plastic surgery center site were images he owned, and they were not obtained legally. In other words, we did not have the intellectual rights to use these images, and we had to either take them off and replace them with images we had purchased, or we could pay the artist. Evidently, intellectual property laws are a bit more liberal in places like Argentina, and my designer was not obtaining the rights to images we had used in our projects. Because the plastic surgery site was already billed out and paid for, this made the project we had done completely unprofitable, and it was a difficult lesson to learn. And now we had to address all of the other sites we had completed using images in which we did not own the rights. I shared this experience with my students, and the look of panic was undeniable. You see, there are technological solutions that scour the internet looking for unlawful use of images through digital watermarks, and there are even some nefarious individuals that focus in trying to provide images and tricking the artists into thinking they have the rights to use the images they find on sites such as Flickr, only to profit from this unlawful usage. I asked my students where they found their content, and a collective confusion and exasperation resided on the faces of all my students. The collective answer: wherever we can. It was one of those moments as an educator where I realized we'd completely ignored the details of how these projects are completed, and although we had outlined a thorough curriculum, we were leaving out very important lessons that unfortunately our students may also have to learn the hard way. Sometimes as educators, we overlook the processes students engage in to complete the educational objectives we have set forth through our curriculum because we're so close to it. We know they need to produce and instruct them on the details of how to produce. But there is a missing component to this process that professionals have access to and engage in, and students unfortunately do not. It was a moment in which I realized I could make a far greater impact for students if we were able to address this gap in the education market. We took the concept to a school who saw the benefits in offering their students access to this content in an attempt to elevate their work. We worked closely with the graphic design, multimedia, and game design program chairs and their instructors, and we let them drive the requirements of the content needs of their students. Today, my Brainstorm Center's library contains millions of stock photos, color palettes, and design patterns. It even contains sound effects for an additional license. Although our system was intended for the gaming, multimedia, and graphic design markets, we have seen it used quite extensively for fashion and interior design, who have seen its value from an inspiration perspective as well as enhancing their presentation boards. My Brainstorm Center was built by educators who all agreed this gap in the market is very real, and more often than not, ignored. Many schools even require their students to take intellectual property courses, and then fail to provide those tools needed to address this gap. Sometimes, we unknowingly, as educators, send very confusing messages to our students. It wasn't until I witnessed this frustration firsthand that I realized that we expect our students to produce professional level work without giving them the resources they need to accomplish this. As a baseball coach, it is tantamount to sending a hitter to the plate without a bat. My Brainstorm Center is a solution that provides a comprehensive database of royalty-free content for students priced to meet the needs of the education market. Because the student has access to this library of content, they are able to achieve far greater objectives by completing more projects in the accelerated pace in which they find themselves, and they understand the importance of intellectual property laws. Ultimately, we all want the same thing for our students. We want them to be successful students so they become successful professionals. I hope this gives you a better understanding of my Brainstorm Center and the importance of why it is an essential component to the creative process. I encourage you to create an account with us, and I encourage you to talk to your students. Ask them where they find their content, and see how excited they get when you offer them a solution.